Welcome back to another TEKDEP repair video. In today's edition, we'll be working on the Samsung A7 Lite. This video will demonstrate how to replace the screen. This is a cracked screen, so we're gonna show the step-by-step tutorial on how to effectively replace the screen. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing about this is that you want to make sure that the SIM tray, you remove it before removing the back cover. We're gonna first remove the SIM tray. Using a jimming tool, we're gonna start by prying on the edge of the frame to make sure we can remove the cover, the back cover efficiently. So be very gentle as you go around it. You don't want to bend it too much, because this tablet actually came in with us with a slight dent right here, so you want to be very delicate. Be very careful in this area because that's where sits the volume and power button, so you don't want to cause damage to the ribbon cables. There you have it. So you can set this aside for now. So the first thing you need to know is that those Samsung parts, they're all interchangeable. And by the way, if you're looking for any LCD replacement parts, battery or charging port, please check out the links below. We have them on TEKDEP.com. We also do offer mail-in repairs and data recovery service. So there are some Phillips screws we need to take care of in order to disconnect the battery. So that's the first thing you're gonna need to take care of it. And the cool thing about Samsung devices is that the only tool that you need to use is usually just the Phillips screws, unlike iPhones where you have to use the tri-wing screws along with the panel-up screws. So with Samsung, they keep the repair design kind of uniform. One thing to note is that you will see that there are two types of screws, the motherboard ones and the one holding the cover for the motherboards. So you want to make sure you don't mix them up. Okay, now we're gonna move at the bottom. Kind of similar concept to Samsung phones. It comes with the main PBA and the sub PBA. But the thing to note with this is that the sub PBA seems to have a different type of connections below, which we're gonna find out after removing the cover. Okay, great. Using a plastic spudger, you can pry off the cover holding the battery connection. Be very gentle with this because there's a lot of capacitor transistors, so you don't want to make any damage to the board. Alright, great. Then we're gonna disconnect the LCD connections. Try to do things in a specific order so you don't get clogged or misplace any screws. And there is also a screw here, kind of hard to catch, but beware of all of them. Anytime you see some sort of resistance, make sure to check if there is any screws left over. Moving on, we're gonna remove the cover holding the sub PBA. And this is also the loudspeaker. So you see what I did right there? I forgot a screw. So it's always best to learn from your own mistakes. Common mistakes that most technicians do is that they don't verify the amount of screws they have, they miscounted. So it's a good idea to always check if there is any sort of resistance, double check. So like I did right now. Boom. Okay, now that it's done, we're gonna need to remove the battery, the sub PBA and the main PBA. So first we're gonna remove the sub PBA holding the charging port. Then we're gonna disconnect the rear camera and the front camera. Just start from the top and go easy to like carefully pry the board. There you go. Don't be too hesitant to like just snap it out, but make sure you don't bend it too much. Then we're gonna remove the rear camera. There's some tiny adhesive beneath it. So next, the last step is actually to remove the volume power button, which will go onto the new framed LCD display, as well as the battery. So for the battery, there's two ways to go about it. You can either use the pull tabs or like a little bit of isopropyl alcohol along with the pry and concave tip to like carefully extract the battery. Personally, I prefer to go like the old-fashioned way, isopropyl, heat, and alcohol, because these pull tabs, they're not as reliable as you may think. It kind of like requires certain precision. So for the sake of appearances, I would say that it's best that we just use like chemistry and make sure like we use it. You don't like bend the battery too much and you don't cause any punctures. So we're gonna apply a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, set a temperature between 50 to 70 degrees and let it cool for a good 10 minutes. Okay, also like we can apply a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to make it easier to extract the volume button and the power button. And don't forget this little part right here, which is responsible for the proximity sensor. Using the tip of a spudger, I'm gonna slowly peel off the volume power button flex. There you go. Now moving on, we're gonna extract sensor of the proximity sensor. So this one does have a little bit of resistance, so when it does give you a little bit of resistance, you can try to use a tweezer. Just use the tiny tip from the tweezer and gently lift it up. And there you have it. Okay, so now we're gonna extract the battery using this tip right here. Start from here and slowly peel it up. Just try to poke from the edge. Make sure you don't go too far because we don't want to really puncture the battery. And there you have it. That's the reason why I say the pull tabs are not really effective, because usually when you try to like pull them, they rip in between. So now we have all the parts ready to be assembled onto the new display with the frame. So now we're gonna start onto the reassembly process. First thing you wanna do is like put the charging port. Make sure it snaps. Good. Next, you wanna first start with this little part right here. Make sure you don't like misplace any little part because it can make or break the repair. Then we're gonna move on onto the volume port, volume button and power button, I'm sorry. Okay, so now it sticks. We're gonna move on with the main PBA. Okay, so make sure it snaps. Reconnect the front camera. Now we're gonna reconnect the rear camera. The reason you want it to snap is that there's a lot of connection that requires certain enclosures. The pins to connect with the pads. Okay. Lastly, we're gonna peel off this, connect the charging port, remove the adhesive holding the battery. Make sure you remove all the stickers to make sure it has a perfect connection. You don't want to connect the battery yet, but you want to make sure it's aligned in order to avoid any short circuit. Okay, now we're gonna realign the loudspeaker covering the Sub PBA. Make sure it snaps. Okay, perfect. Then we're gonna move on with the cover holding the battery, and obviously because we have to put the screws back together, we need to reconnect the battery. Just make sure, like, for good practice, to like always leave the battery connection at last. Good. So now when it's done, we're gonna start by putting the screws holding the covers. Okay, so now we only have like about 2 screws left. Now place back the screws holding the motherboard. Okay, so now after all the parts have been reassembled, we're gonna put back the back cover. Make sure it snaps. Not forget to put back the SIM card tray. Alright, so let's give this guy a go. Alright, let's turn it on. I'll make sure the touch digitizer works. Okay, alright, touch works, everything is fine. That'll be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. If you have any question, leave them in the comments below, and with the help of the community, we'll make sure to assist you. Again, if you saw any replacement parts you guys need, check us out at TEKDEP.com or click in the link below for mailing repair or advanced data recovery. Thank you guys for watching.